Welcome to the Founders Forum podcast, brought to you by the Foxwell Founders, where we interview some of the hottest minds in D2C right now and deep dive on their area of expertise. Everyone that we interview here is a cherished member of our Foxwell Founders community of over 550 advertisers worldwide and are at the cutting edge of what is working right now. I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Andrew at Foxwell Digital. And now let's get stuck into this week's episode. Here are Edwin and Tris, our hosts.
Three best ways that we've ever seen to deal with this is
it's one of the things that's working really, really well for our agency right now.
Question of the week, right?
He's going to spill all the tea on TikTok for us. What is the oh wow strategy of the moment? If it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who buys it even at that time, right?
Hi guys, welcome to Foxwell Founders. I'm Tris.
I'm Edwin.
And we've got here today Oliver Kenyon, from co-founder of ConversionWise. Now, ConversionWise have designed more landing pages than anyone in the business and worked with over 3,500 people to help them optimize their conversion rate. So we are really excited to get into the detail of what actually creates conversion, what improves conversion, and how do we sell stuff. We're coming into Black Friday. How are we going to sell these right? Edwin, kick us off with the first question.
So you have the title of most landing pages in the world. I will not challenge that.
No one
Tell
has
me,
yet.
Tell me, what is the last test that you ran that really moved the needle? Walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. So I must admit, I keep throwing that stat out on podcasts and workshops. I was in London yesterday and delivered a talk, and I still haven't been challenged on it, and I believe it's true. So until someone says, no, I've designed more, we're claiming it. As far as the last test that we run multiple tests per week. So we have anywhere between sort of 20 and 40 tests running for our clients per week. Okay. A recent test that I actually shared yesterday was an incredibly simple test, and I shared this on my Twitter, and this one kind of took me by surprise, but often people overcomplicate CRO. We all know that. I was speaking to someone at the event yesterday, and I said to them, CRO is effectively common sense. When you hear about it and you hear about these tests, it makes sense, right? But we just don't think about doing it at the time. And all this test was, we could see from scroll map data that a lot of people were scrolling on a homepage of a store, selling multiple SKUs, and we could see that people were scrolling, but they then weren't going through to the collection or the product pages. And I know this sounds like a very simple addition, and hopefully we can get into some way geekier tests as we go through the chat, but all we did was add a relevant call to actions under each section that spoke to the description or the text above the section. For example, if a section on the homepage was talking about viewing the whole collection, well, they didn't have a CTA to the collection page. We added it. We then clicked through to collection page. If a specific section was talking about a pain point that a product solved and they didn't have the CTA to the product, we just added the CTA. So a real simple test that clients pay us a good amount of money to execute, but when you hear the results, it's amazing. So this test added an additional $108,000 in monthly revenue for this client, quite a high volume store. We ran it for about 3 weeks, got it powered, statistical significant, and implemented the test, and the client was pretty happy. But again, this is the latest test that comes to mind because it was yesterday and we concluded it. But sometimes, don't overcomplicate things. I think common sense comes out.
So 108K, but on the percentage wise, what was the conversion rate before, and then what was the conversion rate after?
I'd have to look into the actual stats. There was a relatively good uplift in. Basically, we normally track on revenue per session. So it's very hard, obviously, to track from a CTA that wasn't there to a CTA that's there. So you couldn't have tracked a relative increase in click-through rates. But what we can track is how much money are we making per visitor to that specific page, and that's where we saw that increase in that revenue. So a dramatic increase.
I would say
nice. I was going to say, when it comes to CRO, that's good. That kind of makes a lot of sense. Like when it comes to CRO, and you talk about kind of smaller percentage increases, is there a certain amount of volume you should be spending or making before, or a certain volume traffic that you should be getting before you can actually start to consider CRO as a realistic effect on your campaign?
Yeah, great question, and 100% the answer is yes. That's why we almost have two sides to our business. So what we recommend is over 100,000 sessions per month. You have enough data to quantify a test quick enough. You can test on any volume of data. So you could be doing 2,000 sessions per month, and you could be A/B testing or ABCD multivariate, whatever you want to call it. You could be testing, but you're going to become frustrated because it's going to take far longer to become powered and to make an informed decision if that's actually a statistical uplift in revenue per session or click through or conversion rate, whatever you're tracking. Whereas when you're doing over 100,000 sessions per month, that's going to be a lot quicker, typically within the kind of 2 to 3 week time frame. And you can test more aggressively. What we recommend with fewer hits per month is you take bigger swings. So that's why we have our landing page side of the business, where you can completely redesign pages based on best practices, frameworks, conversion principles, more of a conversion design perspective, taking out the kind of analytical side of things and looking more from a UI UX perspective and taking a big swing. And that's where we, again, will see bigger uplifts because you can afford to take those bigger swings as opposed to, smaller tests that add up to increases based on data.
And so taking that, you wouldn't advise if you have a kind of a large volume, large traffic, you wouldn't advise taking those big swings. It's kind of the smaller test that you're testing, or do big swings work regardless who you are?
It depends. It depends what you're trying to do. So if you're looking to scale via paid, for example, you may be better off taking a bigger swing. For example, if you're sending all your media right now to a collection or a product page, I would be testing landing pages for sure. So I'd be testing direct response, aggressive sales pages, landing pages, bundle pages, subscription, whatever that may be, as dedicated one-off pages to see if they perform better on paid media. But when we see people make this mistake a lot. So a lot of clients will come to us and they'll have a store that's doing, I don't know, let's say 200K in revenue per month right now. Yeah. And they do, let's say 30% in repeat purchase from customers who are coming back to their store and repeating the purchase. Now, the issue here is everyone gets fixated on brand. They see the next shiny object. They see one of their competitors that have an updated website and they think, shit, like we need to update our site. We need to redo everything. We need a new brand guide. We need to make it all shiny, all bells and whistles. And it's going to make us loads more money. And we actually refuse to work with those clients because it's going to put us in a detrimental position, because what typically happens 9 times out of 10 is we redesign the website, we follow all the best practices, but normally it's the repeat business that dies. Because if you imagine, let's take a real world situation, right? You might shop at let's say, I'm going to say Tesco, right? If over in the UK we have a big supermarket called Tesco, do your grocery shop, you walk into the supermarket, within that supermarket where you're going. You know what you got to buy. If I need strawberries, it's right there. If I need cereal, I'm going around the corner, it's the second aisle on the left, I'm picking it up. You're almost in a routine of where you're going within that shop to get your products, and you're going to go check out. Now you imagine if overnight that store completely switched, right? All the aisles, all the products moved all around the place. Not only are you going to be pissed off, but you probably will miss products that you were going to purchase and be frustrated, and you're going to be walking out that door spending less money, or you're just going to be annoyed and be like, they've moved everything around, I'm gone. That's basically what happens when you redesign your website, because you think you should be having this updated brand design and everything. These repeat customers come back and they're not following the same pattern. They're not in that same journey and funnel that they were before to get the product that they so desperately want. So we recommend strongly against large volume clients taking big swings, as in redesigns, updated themes, etc. on their stores. Do it on external pages. Yeah. Yes, you can have a test, say for example, an above the fold test, fine, but complete pages, complete layouts, complete theme updates is going to take 6 to 12 months to recuperate that repeat purchase. Whoa. And new visitors to come up to where you were before. And we've seen it time and time again. So that's one mistake that I think big brands make.
So how do you have that conversation? Because
difficult. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, no, it's I have to have that conversation all the time, right?
Yeah.
Brand comes in, they say, hey, we got this new designer, we want to spend, $50K or whatever on this redesign. Yeah. And I'm there screaming like, just spend another 50K in marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're like stuck on it. But tell me, how are you having that conversation with them?
From a consultative perspective, I think they need to appreciate that this is coming from a good place. All of us here, we work on performance, right? Like, as in, our fee's a bit different. So we go fixed monthly fee because we believe that all the incremental increases that we generate should stay with the brand. But we work on performance as far as if we don't increase revenue and pay for our retainer, they're not coming back. So I have to be, and our staff, we have a team of 50 plus people, they have to be coming from a consultative approach where they say to the brand, we would not recommend you do this. We're here to make you more money. We're here to turn more clicks into customers, make you more revenue per visitor. If you do this, we are telling you now, this is not going to result in the outcome that you want. So what we recommend is you can aesthetically update your site, but you do it from an iterative approach, similar to A/B testing. So when we are running these tests, if you've got a new style guide, or if you want a new layout or a new slight feel, or maybe it's the brand's direction has changed slightly and you want that to be mirrored on your design, let's do it through an iterative approach through A/B testing. And when we then implement winning tests, we do it along that new feel. But let's not just change everything overnight, because again, what typically happens, and bear in mind, guys, I've ran a design and development agency for 12 years. So we've done this for years in the past where we've built new websites. And I'm the first person to say, people come in, they say, look, we want this live in a month. Normally it's 6 months. So you spend 6 months obsessing over this new site. You put all this budget into it. At the same time, you're not testing on your site. You're focusing on this brand new shiny object, this new design, you launch it and you're disappointed. And it happens 9 times out of 10. So I would take an iterative approach and just do it based on actual results and actual tests that you're running to then update the site bit by bit, basically.
Makes sense. And so when you're doing those tests, like you're doing it bit by bit, and you're testing to a statistical significant level. You want to make sure that it's making sense. And I mean, obviously, right? But say you come across a test, and I'm sure you do frequently come across a test that doesn't get statistical significance
all the time.
Say, do you look at a different threshold? Do you change the goalpost a bit? Like what do you do? Do you say, okay, well that actually didn't make a difference, so we're going to leave it as is. We're going to test something else. Like what is the next move? Yeah,
that's the nature and the day-to-day of CRO. Anyone who's doing CRO A/B testing that says more tests win than lose is lying to you. 100%. The first thing we say on prospect or sales calls is we hold our hands up. More tests are going to lose than win, and that's a fact. We'll typically, let's take Boom, Ezra Firestone's brand that we run CRO for. We had 20 tests running in the first 3 to 6 months. 15 of them were losing tests. 5 of them were winners, and big winners. And I'm talking extra 3 million in annual revenue for that brand. Which more than outweighed everything else we did in the losing test. But you will lose more tests than you will win. I think the agencies that will be good for you as a partner for an e-com brand, for example, is someone who takes understandings and learnings from those losing tests and rolls it into the next test. CRO, in my opinion, is all about understanding your specific audience. It's very contradictory, but I feel that there are best practices for CRO. I think there are best frameworks. I think conversion design and conversion principles are fact. There are things that you need on your website in order to make more people purchase. Fact. But your brand is so unique. Even your closest competitor, your demographic, your audience, your brand, your tonality, your voice is so unique that you can't copy what other people are doing. So I think you need to get very deep into that qualitative and quantitative data. You need to be really speaking to your audience, surveying your audience, getting that feedback, and then making informed decisions. That is an iterative and learning process within the first kind of 3-6 months where you are losing tests, but you're understanding why. And each losing test gives you more data and information on what does this audience respond well or not well to. And then you take that learning and you move on.
Yeah, you win and you learn. Really, is the
absolutely. I mean, it's very cliche. It's easy for me to say, but yeah, like you get these guys on Twitter. Every loss in your life, you learn from and you move. But it's true. It's true in CRO. Like you do need to look into why that loss. What can we do differently next time? But yeah, 100% more tests lose than win all the time.
So
Yeah.
let's circle that back though. So let's say you run a test, right? And you get 56% positive, and then, more positive than negative, but it's not statistically significant. What do you do with it?
You understand why, I guess. So one thing we also do is and a lot of, and I'm not having to go other agencies, but I think looking into the intricacies of like filtering between, we've had tests, for example, that have been outright horrible losers on desktop, but when you filter down to mobile, the test is a clear winner. So like you filter, you go one step further, you look at different devices. Tests are so different because we could be talking about a price and offer test versus a UX UI test, but you look into it. Why did it lose? And you pitch it against the other tests, and you look across all your tests. Is there any commonalities between losing tests? Is there something that just doesn't work on this site? Was there a bottleneck here as opposed to here? And you try and hypothesize. That's all you're doing. CRO is effectively guesswork. You're coming up with ideas. You're hypothesizing. You're guesstimating that that's going to be better than that. And after 12 years, I feel I could do that better than the next person, but I'm still guessing. I'm making informed decisions backed on that data. But yeah, you look into that test, you look into the intricacies, you see if you can spot commonalities, you can see if there's a trend in why things are losing within the same page or within the same funnel, and then you kind of take those learnings and move on.
Makes sense. And I guess the question that I suppose is everyone's lips is there a benchmark that you have? They say, for example, I'm looking at a site, there's a certain amount of landing page views, there's a certain amount, like for the amount of landing page views there should be a certain amount of add to cards, and a certain amount of conversion. Do you have
Not it depends.
It's really difficult to answer that. That's a question we get asked a lot, and it's not a one size fits all because you have different price points, you have different AOVs, you have high ticket versus low ticket. It's very difficult brand to brand to kind of estimate those benchmarks. The teams do have kind of, from cart to checkout, etc. But again, it depends on a lot of things come back to like those conversion principles. Do you have trust and credibility on your site? Do you have authority? Do you have social proof? And all those things are going to help boost those stats, but it's very case scenario.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a fashion and apparel brand, AOV 75, right? Tell me, maybe like, I'd like to know a benchmark conversion rate. If you can't give me that, tell me like in the funnel, like generally, like what are the bands? Like what are the rates?
It's really difficult without looking into the data of our current kind of clients, what that would look across the funnel. It's quite a difficult question to ask it without having that data in front of me and just kind of looking at it from brand to brand. But yeah, apparel is one of those where that's where you do get that argument of like brand versus conversion, because so many apparel brands, clothing brands, their stores look very, very different to a supplement brand, for example, because it's all about white space, it's all about design as opposed to performance, and that's where it's a very hard match between kind of performance and kind of brand. It's difficult without looking at that data.
Okay, so call it like, I mean, I guess like one of the things I suppose we look at is, we from our side, from marketers, we look at like average basket size, we look at kind of understanding all that kind of stuff. How much does kind of outside of the step to step do you actually look at from a conversion rate, and do you actually start to test like if we move this here, we get a bigger basket size, that kind of thing? Is that a test thing for CRO?
Yes, definitely. So our overall objective is that revenue per session. People get a little bit fixated on conversion rate when it comes to CRO, clues in the name. But the easiest way to increase your conversion rate is to slash your costs, right? Anyone could increase a conversion rate. You make your product free, your conversion rate goes up through the roof. What we try to do is a blended average between conversion rate and average order value, which is basically your revenue per session. How much money are you making per click on this specific flow? But what we will then do further is we will break that down into each step of the funnel. So let's say 1 month goal on a client might be that they're getting a lot of people to their collection page, how can we increase the click through to the product page? Then we'll look at, say, product page, and if there's a bottleneck in product page versus people actually getting to the checkout, how can we increase that conversion rate specifically? So we do look at things from a top level, but that's supported by actually niching down into those specific steps within the pre-purchase flow. And often that's things as simple as, like, you know, removing an upsell pre-purchase because, you know, it might put people off before they get to that cart or that checkout, or it's you know, a lot of stuff we do is based around usability. Like, you would be amazed at how many stores we get on e-com that have, you know, these annoying customer support pop-ups, exit intent pop-ups that pop up after 5 seconds, and a lot of it is around user testing. So one of the first things we do when clients come on with us is we actually do full user testing. We get actual people to go to your store and try to check out and note down any hurdles. So again, just mentioning those kind of pop-ups and stuff, you'd be amazed at how many people within, like, the cart itself, for example, still have these modals popping up and still have these little customer support icons on mobile that overlay the add to cart button. So yeah, right. So we've all done it on other people's stores. So
we actually had a person launch a sale, their biggest sale of the year this year, and their pop-up came over the whole site on mobile, and you couldn't get out without putting your email in. And it was like,
But we don't visit our own stores. We don't test our own flows. You know, how many people listening to this own e-com brands have actually gone on their site and checked out as a customer in the last 6 months? Probably very, very little. So user testing is huge. We do that quite a lot, and you'll find when we go into those intricacies of, like, product page to checkout or checkout, to cart to checkout. It's often things like that kind of really skew the data. It's not rocket science. We're not doing these massive A/B tests that are completely redesigning your cart. It's like, let's remove the distractions. Let's make the flow a lot easier. You know, let's force the button to the bottom on mobile. Social proof and trust, etc. are great within the cart itself. But it's not rocket science.
So let's get to the actual detail, and so, like, you know, we're talking about, like, ideas and thoughts of the things you can test. But let's get into let's go. I've got a cart, right? I've got a page, a product page. I'm looking at my product page. I'm going, what are the key things that I should be looking for here? So you're saying about making it simple and everything else. But what are the things, if you were to look at a product page, you're definitely looking for these pieces of information, or, you know, maybe even there's some gotchas that are like, okay, that you should definitely not have there in the way.
Yeah.
So let's go into some specifics that people can go into their pages and have a look.
Yeah.
Vertical, right? Because vitamins are different from apparel, different from product.
Let's go apparel.
100% they are different, but I think there are best practices. That's why I said I do believe there are best practices in CRO. I think there are best practices on all stores to tick boxes, right? I think that we kind of define this into 9 or 10 key principles that should be on all stores to increase conversions. Above the fold on any product page, we look for several things. One, we look for trust and credibility. So what is above the fold when you're competing with your Amazon? All of us go onto Amazon and don't think twice. Within a split second, we don't think twice about trusting Amazon. We just know they're not going to steal our money. They're not going to sell us shitty products. If they are, we can return them the next day. They're going to do next day delivery. We just trust that brand. You do not have the luxury as a e-com brand yourself to gain that trust and credibility from a cold consumer without thinking. You don't have that luxury. So you need to prove to these people that you are trustworthy. So one thing we like to do is we call it a trust policy bar. Just below the notice, your navigational bar on mobile and desktop, you have a very thin bar with 3 to 4 icons plus text of things that make you trustable as a brand. So think about your brand specifically. That could be something like you offer a satisfaction guarantee. That could be that you've served over 1,000 plus happy customers. That could be that you're vegan friendly. That could be that you're made in the US. That could be that you're veteran backed. That could be that you offer 24/7 support. Whatever makes you legitimate as a brand. It doesn't take up much real estate. It's one bar, the thickness of your navigational bar, icon plus text, scannable content, have it on rotation on mobile, have it stretched on desktop, ticks that trust and credibility box. Second thing we always look for is social proof. Now, all themes that are built to convert, which is complete bullshit, no themes out there are built to convert, they're pretty rubbish. All themes have social proof. So most of them have reviews built in. But typically what those reviews will be these boring 5 stars, and it just says like 43. Take that one step further. So leverage social proof. So what we do is we'll go rated 4.8 out of 5 stars by 43 plus happy customers or verified buyers or whatever you're selling. Lean into that social proof. Another great thing you can do above the fold with social proof, not necessarily on your product page but on your home page, is actually including a testimonial that handles an objection. So if you're surveying your audiences, which you should be, post-purchase surveys are a necessity within CRO, but find a sticking point or a friction point or an objection that a lot of your customers have. So post-purchase surveys, you should be asking, why did you purchase? But really importantly, you should be asking, what almost made you not purchase today? Take that response and you'll find a lot of people saying the same thing. So they might say something like, we were unsure of the quality of the product. Take a testimonial that talks about the quality of your product and put that front and center above the fold on your homepage, and you've already handled the objection of most of your buyers coming through as cold consumers. So social proof is 2.
So
I think
just on that specific part, because that makes like duh, as you said, most of CRO is
common
like
sense.
Duh.
But
like with that, like how trustworthy is that kind of that like if you're getting it, say you're a Shopify store and you're taking it, say you've got drop shippers, or say you've got somewhere where you're getting reviews that are on your site. How much more important is it to have a third-party Trustpilot or one of these that are separate to your on-site reviews? Because the people look at it and go, they've just written those themselves.
Yeah, I think there is definitely credibility in having like the kind of reviews.io or Trustpilot or whatever app you're using, 100%. But even by just putting those logos underneath that statement above the fold and then having it clickable that scrolls to the testimonial section where you have the embed, I think that goes a long way. We obviously think like marketers, so we know that people do make up those reviews for sure. The most cold consumers coming to your page wouldn't, but I think you can back it up with that kind of logo. Icons work very well, as you said. So social proof is crucial. Product pages, let's talk about carousel, image carousels. 100%, you need normally typically on mobile, it's different on apparel stores. People think they have to have these huge stretched images. You don't have to. 1-to-1 ratio, which gives you some nice real estate above the fold. Sounds silly, but thumbnails below your product carousel work way better than radio dots because it's a visual draw, especially on mobile. Make sure that you actually showcase that there's more images, not just the little dots, because it's a proven fact that if people view more images in your carousel, they're more likely to buy your product. So just encourage them to do that by actually showcasing little thumbnails underneath your carousel. When it comes to product images, I think people undervalue the power of infographic type images. So, we typically will have professionally shot images. People think it's got to be these amazing images of every fucking angle of a whatever it may be. Fine. Fine. It's nice. Exactly. It's nice to have 1 or 2, but what works really well is the second image within your carousel is the product, but you annotate it. So you have lines coming off it, and then you type the actual, you actually write the benefit of the product. Let's say it's a skincare cream or whatever it may be. You have an arrow that comes off and it says, for example, healthier, happier skin, the outcome, the benefit. So actually, I always say this, I always say you've got to treat people like they're 5 when it comes to CRO, but like just shoving things in front of people's faces and making it obvious is a really good way of doing it. So just annotating your product images. Moving down above the fold, we always see wins unless it's a product that needs pre-education. So like if it's a very technical product where you actually need a blurb of text, taking that big paragraph of boring descriptive text from your product description and just turning it into 3 benefit-driven bullet points, using bullet points, 3 benefit outcome bullet points that are scannable, easy to read on mobile, performs a lot better than long blocks of text that push everything else below the fold. And then it comes into above the fold usability. So I think when you have a product with multi-variant options so that you can select, let's say, medium, large, extra large, different color swatches, just thinking about how that layout appears on mobile to the consumer. So let's say that you've got color swatches, put the color swatches next to the thumbnail of the image instead of below the, always have your color first, because on mobile, you want those swatches to be within the same fold as the product carousel. So when you click it, the image changes. Sounds stupid, but we get a lot of customers that the swatches are way down. People are clicking it on mobile, but they can't see the image at the top of the page changing, right? So like, it's just around that usability. Again, we find that actual pictures of the product in the color swatches performs better than the actual color. So actually giving people a clear view of what changes when it comes to the color. Because let's say you've got trainers and they might all be white, but the strip down the middle changes from blue to black to green depending on what color you want. Yeah. Actually showing that on a picture that you can click like a thumbnail to then change the hero image works way better than just showing the green, the red, the white. It gives people a clear objective of what's changing when it comes to the color. When it comes to like size select, for example, do not hide them in a drop down. Sounds stupid, but what's a drop down? 2 clicks. I have to click the drop down, then I have to click the size I want, versus if you had them just in radio boxes, it's 1 click, it's all there for me to see. I can see what sizes you do. I can see that you do my size. Some people don't even know how to click a drop down and can't see those options that you're hiding in the drop down. So it's silly usability things. Honestly, it's crazy. Again, common sense, right? When you put it in this term, it's just obvious. It's like, don't make people click into something to click something. Just have it there to click. 1 click versus 2 click. Minutiae details on large volume stores make huge differences. Size select, making sure you have that just within the fold above the add to cart. A nice full width pill button on mobile, so not these thin small buttons that say add now, or don't get clever with your add to cart. Add to cart now, directional cue, pointing chevron on the button works very, very nicely. And then another thing that we see people get wrong a lot above the fold on mobile is, if you offer let's say like a 60-day money-back guarantee or a 30-day money-back guarantee or whatever, people typically will have it below the CTA, but they'll have it in like a drop-down collapsible box. Yeah. We ran this test recently on a client store, a beauty brand, and saw a dramatic increase in revenue per visitor by just collapsing the box. Just collapsing the box, because the text is there then for people to view without having to click down about the guarantee. Hey. They can just read about the guarantee, and more people purchased.
That's incredible. That is such a small change.
Double XL freshman cipher. Oliver just did that was crazy. Wait. He just like freestyled so much information. It's like we're on 106 in Park right now.
Oh, I used to love that show. So good. So good. Love hip hop.
Okay. Well, I mean, Oliver, that has been amazing. Some of the stuff there, like if I was the store owner and I'm listening to this, there's so much stuff that I could just go and have a quick look and go, am I hitting these best practices? These are the first steps. I think testing is obviously the staple of CRO, and then making sure that your test. It sounds like volume of testing is as important as quality of testing, because if you do 2 or 3 tests, you're not going to get as much value as if you do 6 or 7.
I would be careful with how many tests you're running at any given time. Again, that comes into a volume of traffic argument or discussion. So, for example, I wouldn't be running 3 tests on the same page at once, because you then get conflicting results. But you can have multiple tests running at once across your store. But the cipher, whatever I just spat within my freestyle just then, is best practices, and that's why I do think best practices do exist within CRO. I can all but guarantee, if you follow what I just said, your conversion rate will increase. But when you're running A/B tests or ABC, whatever tests, split tests, I would be careful with how many you're running, depending on your traffic volume, where they are within your store. But there's no harm in doing a homepage test versus and a product page test at the same time, and a test on new collection page. But it's all dependent on how much data you're getting.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned before that you have these 9 or 10 principles. So those you spit that crazy block, that crazy freestyle, what other of those principles have we not heard yet?
Sure. I'm going to try and run through the 9 on my head. Let's count these down. So we always think that value proposition is huge. So value proposition, how are you showcasing your value proposition when someone lands on a page? Really cool way to do this is using things like comparison tables. So making sure that your value is comparable to another brand or whatever else is in the market. It leverages your value offer. An amazing offer is obviously crucial. Not to quote Alex Hormozy, but it's very important to have an amazing no-brainer offer. And I'm not saying you have to discount. I'm not saying you have to slash prices. But what can you do to evaluate your offer, or I guess increase your offer perspective from a cold consumer coming to your page? So can you add something additional? Can you offer free support, this is a test we ran. So last summer, it was a year ago, we work with a brand called the Cooking Guild, and they sell a lot of cooking equipment, so knives, barbecues, etc. And we ran a test where we paid someone on Upwork a couple $100 to design a barbecue top 20 barbecue recipes ebook. Okay, just a really simple ebook. It's delivered digitally. It's a one-off cost for us. Don't have to print it. It's not physically shipped. It's an ebook. And all we did was below the product image carousel on the product page is we added this little call out that said, now included free top 20 recipe ebook for barbecue lovers. We put it on the top selling barbecue page, increase of I think around about $70,000 per month just by having that value. But that's an example of having an amazing offer. It doesn't have to be around price. You can just add things on to make it irresistible. Persuasive copywriting is huge. Obviously copy is massive. Copy is probably one of, if not the single most important CRO principle that we get the most uplifts from, is just like having copy changes, which annoys the shit out of our customers because it's probably the easiest thing to do, but they're not complaining about the wins, right? So persuasive copy is huge. Social proof we've covered. Trust and credibility we've covered. Objection handling is massive. I know we've kind of mentioned that, but making sure that you have FAQs on all pages. So FAQs should be on your product page. You should have FAQs on your home page. Handle common objections, which are things like, when do you ship? How quickly will I get my product? When will I see results? But also then handle specific questions that are about your store and your products. So speak to your customer support center, ask them what are the most asked questions we get all the time, and just answer it. Again, it's not common sense, just put it in front of people's faces. So handling objections is huge. Maximizing revenue is definitely one. So once you've kind of ticked all these boxes, we tend to then look at like, how can we maximize revenue across the pre-purchase or post-purchase journey of a consumer? So you have to be very careful with this one, but we're talking about cross-selling, upselling. That can have negative effect on your revenue per session. So be careful. It doesn't work for all stores. I would tend to try to do it post-purchase as opposed to pre-purchase. I think that has to be done in a very tasteful way. Look into things like dynamic shipping prompts within carts, not just offering free shipping based on add to carts, but also offering like a free gift, taking it one step further. So encouraging, more add to carts via a free gift is crucial.
Like that kind of making sure that it's if you add like $5 more, you get a free gift. That kind of
there you go. Yeah, absolutely. So bang, you've qualified for free shipping. Why not add another 15 to get this free mug or whatever it may be? Free cap, works very well in Cap Power. Look at Cuts. Cuts do this very, very well. So that's one. UX and UI and usability is huge. Again, we've kind of covered that, but do user testing, go through your site, see where people are dropping off, see where the bottlenecks are, see what annoying pop-ups you have on mobile that are overlaying everything and are just not needed, and kill them all. I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered it. I don't know if there's anything I've forgotten, but if I have, I apologize. But yeah.
So persuasive copy,
I
understand that for product solution products and vitamins and supplements, but let's talk about apparel products, right? Let's say I'm selling dresses, right? How do I do persuasive copy? Like
Absolutely. I had a brand yesterday that I spoke to at this marketing club we were at, and she sold she sold nightwear, so ladies nightwear, pajamas, but luxury. You know, we're talking not a huge high ticket, but we're talking mid ticket, $100 plus for some nice nightwear. And she asked exactly the same question, and I went on her site and gave her a bit of an audit yesterday, and I think when it comes to apparel, when it comes to clothing, etc., think about the why. Why are people purchasing these clothes? Now, typically, when it comes to e-com, most of our brands are, mid-ticket. We're not really necessarily selling cheap stuff. We're not trying to compete with H&M. We're not competing with Zara. We're kind of selling a one-off or a nice luxury item. So think about the outcome that someone is buying that product for. And what people do wrong, and it's common sense, it's cliche, it's a marketing statement, but they talk far too much about the features. They talk about I went on this lady's site and she's talking about how breathable the material is, how it's 98% cotton thread, how it's manufactured here and it's from the best materials. And you actually negate the why as to why people are purchasing. Why are they purchasing? They're purchasing because in her case, they want the best night's sleep of their life. They want to feel cool and calm in bed. They, when it comes to fashion items in apparel stores, they're not purchasing because it's made out of a certain amount of material. They're purchasing because they want to impress their friends. They're purchasing because they want to wow people walking down the street. So when it comes to copy, you need to be talking about, be the envy of all your friends, stand out in the crowd. Draw attention, not necessarily draw attention, but you see what I'm saying. It's the outcome, it's the benefit, it's the why, as opposed to the how you actually deliver that product with the material, etc., etc. And I think apparel brands typically get this wrong. They become fixated on our materials better than our competitors. When what really people want to know is, how does it make them feel? How does it make them look? In society, what results are they getting back? What feedback are people? What confidence boost is it going to give them? And that's the same with health and fitness. It's the same with apparel. Copy needs to lead with that, and then you can go into your features for sure.
It sounds like people start to kind of go towards the greenwashing as well. They're like, it makes you look like you care about the environment, actually, but that plastic bag that the recycled bag that you bought, it took way more plastic to make that than it did actually.
And those things are good. Sustainability is obviously huge these days, and that's another tick in like the trust and credibility box. I would have that in your kind of trust bar, policy bar along the top. But when it comes to that copy, first and foremost, always lead with the benefits. Again, not to be cliche, but features tell, benefits sell. So I would always go with the benefit first.
Sure.
So Black Friday.
Yes.
On our mind.
Yeah.
Tell me what's the good stuff. What do we need to know? CRO.
Yeah. From a CRO perspective, there's three things that come to mind front and center. First and foremost is understanding your audience. So I think surveying your audience is crucial.
Okay.
Get to know your audience before you're running those sales. So get to know the tonality of your audience, get to know their wants and needs, get to know, do enough research that you have the arsenal to change copy, to change things on your site to make sure that you're set up. Another thing I think is super, super important is getting very geeky and deep into the data analysis side of things. So a lot of people are struggling, I know, with things like GA4. They might not have the proper tracking setup, but making sure that that's set up prior and look into the analytical side of things and see things like, what are my best performing pages? Do I have a hero SKU that I typically sell more of, or am I selling multiple SKUs across the store? Do I have 2 or 3 products that are selling very, very well together without me even bundling them or knowing it? So doing a deep dive into your analytical side of your store, understanding where those bottlenecks are, what's your top performing pages, because what you're going to be able to do with that is not only before you hit those busy periods, you're going to be able to, try and plug the leaks, as it would say, stop the bucket from leaking and plug the gaps and the holes where people are dropping off. But also, you're going to be able to speak to your email marketing company or your team and say, well, we've spotted that this particular page performs best on our store. Let's focus on sending all our marketing campaigns here. We've noticed that this product sells very, very well with this product. Well, let's, before we get into that busy period, email out a bundle and see if it works, see if it sells. And then you can make informed decisions based on that coming up to those periods, so you're set up. I think what typically happens, everyone's guilty of it, is you get to a week or two before, you're not prepared, and you just sell and slash everything, and you think you can just have this amazing week. And typically you will make more money because everyone's looking for a sale. But if you can do your homework before and understand your audience, understand their wants and needs, their objections, but also what performs best. Is it a hero SKU versus all of your SKUs? You know, you could, for example, make way more money sending all your media or all your email or retention marketing to one specific hero SKU on those sales periods versus sending it to your homepage, because you've done the deep dive and you notice that works better. Bundles work very, very well when it comes to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Specific collection pages that just showcase the sales work very, very well. But also, this again has to be tested, which is quite hard to do during Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, because I wouldn't do any A/B testing. So we do a site freeze on all our client stores. So we say to them, within 3 to 4 days before and 3 to 4 days after, we are not touching your store, because we do not want the blame if there's a bug or a losing test, or these things happen in every single agency in the world. So we will do a strict site freeze. But what I was getting to is urgency and scarcity plays a huge role. Now, this is another one, like cross-selling, upsell, that can actually have a negative effect on your sales. So you need to do it in a subtle way. Things like countdown timers, inventory timers, they work, but they need to be believable. So, don't have them across the whole site. Don't have every single item on your store is running or low in stock, because people now are so clued up. I'm an old school affiliate guy. I've been doing this for 15 years in the kind of selling online space. And I come from the kind of rush my trial, the straight sale versus, pay for shipping, get free product, where like you've got flashy banners, you've got countdown timers. And I think back in the day when people were almost new to buying online, they fell for it, inverted commas. Now people are so clued up to it that I just think you need to do it in a very subtle way. Inventory timers definitely work. Labels work on collection pages, but don't overkill it. Don't force people to feel uncomfortable. You still want to give them a very positive buying experience pre-purchase. But yeah, definitely scarcity and urgency. One thing that we do, we test a lot, and again, another winning test we've had recently is seasonality. So making a sale based on seasonality. I see people who run sales all the time, but they have no endpoint. So what works very well is, for example, having your summer sale, but reaffirming that it's a summer sale. So having a notice bar along the top that says summer sale now is on ends X or Y, giving them an end date, and then making sure there's a clickable link in that notice bar that goes through to your summer sale collection page. Again, a test we ran recently, I think added an additional 30K in revenue, is just kind of calling out that kind of summer sale, notice bar at the top, and just making things, not pissing people off. You don't want these flashy banners, you don't want these horrible pop-ups all the time, etc. And also communicating your sale to your consumer. So if you have a sale that is a dynamic coupon, so it's added to cart already, tell your audience, say to your customers, discount is added at cart, discount is automatically added at cart, have it below every single CTA on your site. If it's a sale that is reliant on them putting a coupon in, tell them 30% off today, enter coupon to get your discount, because you're just going to cause headaches with customer support, etc. So I think that's really important as well.
Interesting. Wow. That's a wealth of knowledge, Oliver. Thank you so much. There's so much going on here.
I could talk about this stuff for days.
My head is spinning with so much stuff that we've got, so much information. I mean, as you're saying, each part, I'm thinking some of the stores that we're working with, it's like immediately we can start plugging that in. So it's
great.
Amazing.
Good.
It's fantastic. So thank you for that.
Guys, I hope you caught all of that. We have the M&M of CRO just spitting straight fire for endless amount of facts. Guys, I'm Edwin.
I'm Tris.
I'm Oliver.
Thanks.
We'll see you on the next one.